Apple hasn't even unveiled their car and they are already late for the party. The company estimates production will begin in 2024, but analyst estimates go all the way to 2028, so they will have to deliver a revolutionary product to have a chance in the growing EV market. Let's talk about it. You're watching On Forward. Apple's electric car project, codenamed Titan, first started in late 2014, and through the years they have been hiring lots of industry experts and engineers from other companies. Nevertheless, the project had serious setbacks along its development, and its status is really unknown at this point. Over the last month, there have been leaks from Apple insiders that point to a possible launch date in 2024. As I said, until now the development has been everything but smooth, and this launch date is a little too optimistic in my opinion. Let me tell you why. It took Tesla 17 years to accomplish sustained profits, and while I'm sure that Apple has vast experience in that regard, going from designing phones, computers and electronics to actually designing a car is definitely a big leap. As a side note, Elon Musk tried and failed to sell Tesla to Apple in the darkest days of the Model 3 production, by 1/10 of its current value. I'm not sure if this rejection was because Apple is extremely confident in their design and technology to compete in the market, or if we are going to see something similar to what happened with Blockbuster and Netflix. It would be impossible not to compare Apple with Tesla as I just did. First, because they will be direct competitors on the luxury EV market, and second, because Tesla is currently the biggest EV manufacturer in the US by a wide margin, and it is the reference to make comparisons in my opinion. Now, let's talk about why Apple is already late with its car, and what are the things they should do to have a chance of succeeding. First, battery technology. A car coming in 4 to 8 years must have a good range to be competitive, more so if it will be a luxury vehicle. Long dead are the days of weird looking and short range electric vehicles. This means Apple's battery technology has to be cutting edge, and they are reportedly working on a next level battery tech based on LFP, which are the same batteries Tesla is using in their Chinese made Model 3s. And while this battery chemistry is cheaper and safer than lithium-ion, it is also less energy dense, so the cars will be heavier and thus less efficient. I'm not sure why Apple would go with this alternative. Are they cutting costs, or is there really a big breakthrough in the makings? Tell me in the comments if you have any idea. Apple obviously has lots of experience when working with batteries, especially on battery management with software, so they may have an advantage there. But a big battery pack is no use if you don't have where to charge it. Charging stations are as important as the range and overall quality of the vehicle, and that is where Apple has a weak point. Although they were reportedly looking into making charging stations, the last news report I could find regarding this is almost 5 years old, and if they want to build their own network, they should start sooner rather than later. A complete charging infrastructure isn't something you can deploy overnight. Tesla has been open about other car manufacturers using their vast charging network, but I don't see Apple using a third-party charger, to be honest. Of course, they could surprise us with a partnership with Tesla or any other company, but I certainly think that they will build their own infrastructure. I just hope their cars come with a charger included, unlike their phones. Now, software is the biggest advantage Apple has to work with. They, for the most part, know how to make good and efficient software, and this trend of computerizing cars is not going to stop anytime soon. At least, I hope so. I can't believe a lot of established auto manufacturers still provide their cars with software that looks and performs worse than the PS2 menu. It's just embarrassing at this point. I am also expecting very tight integration with iOS and with all of the Apple ecosystem in general. which will be a big selling point for people who are already using a lot of the products. Talking about software, a big part of the software of a newly developed electric vehicle must be self-driving capabilities. They definitely can't show up with a car in 4 to 8 years without some sort of self-driving feature. They would be out of the game before even entering. Now, in early 2021, we already have companies like Tesla very advanced with their full self-driving software, and Waymo, which is already offering self-driving taxi rides in some states, as well as lots of other companies and startups making progress on self-driving efforts. It looks like Apple will take a similar route than Waymo by using LiDAR to power the vision of their cars. And while I am more inclined to Tesla's approach, as I think it's better overall, we'll have to see who wins the self-driving race. As I mentioned, Apple has already been working on self-driving software, but the biggest problem I think they have is driving data. At this moment, Waymo has more than 20 million miles of real-world driving data, and Tesla has more than 3 billion miles. Real-world driving data is a key component of any self-driving software, as it provides with varied and unique situations for the cars to learn from. I am very curious about how Apple will approach this disadvantage they are facing. As I mentioned earlier, Apple does not even manufacture their phones, so what about their cars? They certainly do not have the experience needed to manufacture cars at scale, nor the motivation and mentality to face a production hell like Tesla did. I certainly do not picture Apple's CEO sleeping in a couch at the factory when things get rough. But as the proverb says, money can't buy happiness, but it can buy you a multi-million-dollar partnership with a well-established automaker. That's the saying, right? Well, a few days ago, a Korean news site reported that Apple is in talks with Hyundai about cooperating in a partnership to manufacture electric cars. This doesn't surprise me at all, and it wouldn't be shocking either if Apple chooses to enter multiple partnerships with other companies as well. What is a concern to me is the timelines they work with. If they are just starting talks with automakers for the manufacturing of their vehicles, their aggressive deadlines will be difficult if not impossible to fulfill. Finally, Apple's lack of experience in this field is something to be aware of, and it is more important than it seems. Look at what happened with Dyson. They spent huge amounts of money on their electric vehicle project for it to be ditched at the last moment. As I just said, I wouldn't be surprised if they can't keep up with these deadlines, and the more time passes until they can deliver, more competition with better technology will be available. If we are shocked about the amount of deliveries Tesla had last year, just imagine where they will be in 2028, and many other companies will follow for sure. Apple has a difficult road ahead if they want to compete with the big players on EVs, but it is definitely not impossible. I think they will surely need a disruption like what they did with the iPhone in order to have a chance. Nevertheless, the more companies working on electric vehicles, the better. It means more competition and better products for the consumers. All of this while accelerating the world's transition to a sustainable future. Thank you for watching all the way through. Here are 2 more videos that you may like. See you soon.